You have been lied to. You think being nice buys you respect? It's actually making you a target. There is a dark psychological weapon that destroys disrespect without a single word. It's uncomfortable, it's controversial, and it changes everything. Are you brave enough to use it? All right, let's get real for a second. I want you to look at your hands. Now, think about how much of your energy slips right through those fingers every single day, wasted on people who don't even deserve a second of your time. We have been lied to. From the moment we were children, we were fed a poison coated in sugar. We were told that if we were just nice enough, quiet enough, and accommodating enough, the world would treat us with kindness. We were told that turning the other cheek was a virtue. But look around you. How is that working out? The truth is, there is a quiet epidemic happening right now. It is the exhaustion of the good-hearted. You feel it, don't you? That heavy, sinking feeling in your chest when someone disrespects you, cuts you off, mocks your dreams, or treats your boundaries like a suggestion, and you just smile. You swallow the anger. You let it slide. You tell yourself you are being the bigger person, but deep down, you know the truth. You aren't being the bigger person. You are being eaten alive. You are acting like a peacekeeper in a war where you are the only casualty. Welcome to Glaze English. What if I told you that everything you think you know about earning respect is wrong? What if I told you that the reason you feel drained and invisible isn't because you aren't trying hard enough, but because you are playing a game that was rigged against you from the start? Today, we aren't just going to learn some polite phrases. We are going to perform surgery on your mindset. We are going to explore a dark, controversial, but incredibly powerful truth: that silence is violent and stillness is the ultimate form of dominance. I am going to show you how to take that fear, the fear of conflict, the fear of being disliked, and turn it into a weapon that protects your peace. We are going to walk through 5 psychological shifts that will make you dangerous. Not dangerous because you are mean, but dangerous because you are uncontrollable. Dangerous because you no longer need their validation to breathe. But be warned, once you see the world this way, you can never go back to being the person who apologizes for existing. If you are ready to stop being a doormat and start being a fortress, then you need to listen to every word of this video. Before we descend into the dark art of non-reactive dominance, do me a favor. If you are tired of the noise and ready for the truth, hit that subscribe button. Support this channel so we can keep uncovering the lessons they didn't teach you in school. Now, take a deep breath. Let's rewrite the rules. So, now that we have decided to rewrite the rules, where do we actually begin? We begin in the void. We begin with the most terrifying and powerful weapon in the human arsenal, one that most people are too afraid to touch: the silent stare. I want you to visualize a moment of conflict. Maybe it's a boss screaming about a deadline that wasn't even yours, or a partner making a snide, cutting remark about your appearance. Your heart hammers against your ribs. Your palms sweat. The ancient reptilian part of your brain screams at you to do one of 2 things: fight back with insults, or fawn and apologize to make the danger go away. This is the script we have all been handed. But what if you burned the script? The silent stare is not just looking at someone, it is a mirror. When you lock eyes with a person who is disrespecting you, and you refuse to utter a single syllable, you are doing something profound. You are denying them the oxygen they need to sustain their fire. You see, disrespect is almost always performative. The person attacking you is looking for a reaction. They want to see you squirm. They want to see you angry. It validates their power. It proves that they can control your emotional state with a few cheap words. But when you stare, when you hold that gaze with zero emotion, no frown, no smile, just absolute hollow neutrality, you create a vacuum. And nature hates a vacuum. I remember the first time I truly used this. I was in a meeting with a man who thrived on interruption. He was a bulldozer, constantly talking over me to assert his dominance. In the past, I would have raised my voice to compete, but that day, I was just done. When he cut me off mid-sentence, I didn't try to speak over him. I stopped. I turned my chair to face him directly, and I just looked at him. I didn't blink. I didn't nod. I watched him. At first, he kept talking, fueled by his own momentum. But then, about 3 seconds in, he faltered. He sensed the silence coming from my end of the table. He looked at me, expecting a challenge or a submission, but found neither. He found a wall. He started stumbling over his words. He looked down at his notes. He looked around the room, hoping someone else would break the tension. But no one did. In that silence, his rudeness echoed. It bounced off my stillness and slammed right back into him. He ended up mumbling an awkward conclusion and sitting back, defeated by his own noise. That is the power of the stare. It forces the aggressor to sit alone with their behavior, and trust me, they hate that company. This bleeds directly into a deeper philosophy, embracing silence as your answer. We are conditioned to believe that silence is passive, that it means we have lost the argument. We think we need to have the last word to win, but the opposite is true. The person who needs the last word is the person who is insecure. The person who can remain silent is the person who is untouchable. Think about the phrase, deafening silence. Why do we say that? Because silence screams. When someone asks you an invasive question like, "Why are you still single?" or "How much money do you make?" and you simply look at them and say nothing, you are saying everything. You are drawing a line in the sand that says, you do not have access to this information. You do not have access to me. Silence acts as a filter for your reality. Imagine your energy is a bank account. Every time you argue, every time you defend yourself against a troll or a bully, you are writing them a check. You are paying them with your peace of mind. Why are you funding their bad behavior? When you choose silence, you are closing the vault. You are hoarding your power. I used to be terrified of the awkward pause. I would babble just to fill the air because I was afraid of what the silence might mean. I thought it meant I was weak. But I realized that the need to fill the silence is a trauma response. It's the good kid trying to smooth things over. When you stop smoothing things over, you force the other person to walk on the rough ground they created. So, the next time someone throws a verbal grenade at you, don't jump on it. Don't try to throw it back. Just watch it land. Watch it fizzle out. Let the silence stretch out until it becomes uncomfortable for them. Let them drown in it. In that stillness, you aren't passive. You are the eye of the storm. And the storm cannot hurt the eye. Once you have mastered the art of silence, you inevitably face a more insidious trap. One that masquerades as conversation, but is actually an interrogation. I am talking about the compulsive need to explain yourself. We have all been there. You make a decision that is purely for you. Maybe you decide to skip a family gathering to rest, or you choose a career path that doesn't make sense to your parents, or you simply say no to a favor. And then comes the inevitable question: why? And what do? We crumble. We open our files. We lay out the evidence. We start jadding. This is a concept I wish I had learned 10 years ago. It stands for justify, argue, defend, explain. When someone questions our choices, our people-pleaser programming kicks in, and we feel this desperate need to make them understand. We think, if I just explain my reasoning clearly enough, they will agree with me, and then I will be allowed to do this. Read that again. Allowed. That is the poison right there. When you over-explain your life to someone, you are subconsciously asking for their permission. You are handing them the gavel and asking them to be the judge of your reality. You are saying, please tell me I'm not crazy. Please tell me I'm good. But here is the cold truth. People who disrespect your boundaries do not want to understand your reasons. They want to dismantle them. When you give them an explanation, you aren't giving them clarity, you are giving them ammunition. I remember when I decided to leave a safe, prestigious corporate job to pursue something much riskier but more meaningful to me. The moment I told people, the inquisition began. Why would you leave that salary? What about your pension? Have you thought about the recession? I spent weeks trying to answer them. I created mental PowerPoint presentations. I talked about market trends, my savings runway, my long-term vision. And you know what happened? For every answer I gave, they found 3 new problems. But what if X happens? But have you considered Y? I walked away from those conversations feeling drained, small, and full of doubt. I felt like a child asking for allowance. It wasn't until I stumbled upon the philosophy of autonomy that I realized my mistake. I was treating my life like a public service announcement. I was acting as if I owed the world a press release for my existence. So I stopped. The next time someone asked me, "But why would you take such a huge risk?" I didn't bring up my savings account. I didn't talk about my passion. I just looked at them and said, "Because I want to." And then, silence. They waited. They blinked. They were waiting for the "because" followed by the excuse. But I didn't give it to them. "Because I want to" is a complete sentence. It is a fortress. It shuts down the negotiation before it can even begin. When you refuse to explain, you are sending a massive signal of self-respect. You are saying, "My desire is sufficient reason for my action." This is terrifying at first. It feels rude. We are taught that being nice means being an open book. But you need to realize that privacy is not secrecy. Privacy is a boundary. You are not hiding anything, you are simply protecting your agency. Think about the most confident person you know. Do they run around explaining why they bought that car, or why they date that person, or why they eat that food? No, they just do it. And because they don't treat their choices like they are up for debate, nobody else does either. When you stop explaining, you force people to accept you as you are, not as they want you to be. You stop engaging in the court of public opinion. You realize that you are the only one who has to live with the consequences of your decisions. So you are the only one who gets a vote. It takes courage to look someone in the eye and say, "I'm not discussing that," or "It's a personal policy," or simply, "No." But the freedom you feel on the other side, it is intoxicating. It is the feeling of finally owning the deed to your own life. You stop wasting your precious energy trying to convert people who are committed to misunderstanding you, and you start using that energy to actually build the life you want. Stop casting your pearls before swine. Your reasons are yours. Keep them. You have learned to silence your voice and seal your reasons. But now you must do something even harder. You must curate your reality. This brings us to the physical realm of respect, where we stop talking about boundaries and start living them through distance and posture. Let's talk about the VIP club theory. I want you to close your eyes and imagine your life, your time, your energy, your heart, as the most exclusive, high-end nightclub in the city. There is a velvet rope out front. There is a bouncer who looks like he eats rocks for breakfast. Inside, the vibe is perfect. It is peaceful. It is joyful. It is safe. Now, look at the people you are currently letting into this club. Who is in the VIP section? Is it people who uplift you? Or have you given a lifetime pass to people who come in, smash the glasses, insult the staff, and vomit on the carpet? We have this twisted idea of loyalty. We think that just because we have known someone for 10 years, or just because they are family, they have an automatic right to access us. We feel guilty for pulling away. We tell ourselves, "Oh, that's just how he is," or "She doesn't mean to be toxic." But here is the brutal truth. Your energy is a finite resource. It is a bank account. Every time you spend an hour with someone who drains you, insults you, or makes you feel small, you are making a withdrawal that you can never get back. Keeping your distance is not an act of malice. It is an act of budgeting. You are not cutting people off to punish them. You are protecting your assets. I had to learn this the hard way. I had a friend who I loved dearly, but our entire dynamic was built on him making fun of me. It was always just a joke, right? But after every hangout, I felt exhausted. I felt ugly. I felt stupid. For years, I kept showing up because I didn't want to be a bad friend. But one day, I realized that by being a good friend to him, I was being a terrible friend to myself. I was betraying my own inner child who was screaming at me to get out of there. So, I initiated the drift. I didn't make a big dramatic speech. I didn't send a breakup text. I just stepped back. I stopped initiating. I became busy. I moved him from the VIP section to the sidewalk. And the clarity I gained in that silence was life-changing. I realized that I wasn't the problem. The proximity was the problem. But distance isn't just about who you let in. It's about how you stand when you are out in the world. This brings us to the physiology of respect, holding your head high. I know. This sounds like something your mother told you. Stand up straight. But this isn't about etiquette. This is about biology. There is a feedback loop between your body and your brain. When you feel disrespected, your instinct is to shrink. You round your shoulders, you look at the floor, you cross your arms. You make yourself small to present a smaller target. You are literally signaling submission to the tribe. Predators, and yes, toxic people are emotional predators, can smell this. They look for the person who is already apologizing for their existence with their posture. So you have to hack the system. You have to reverse the loop. When you walk into a room, even if you are terrified, even if you feel like an imposter, you must physically inhabit the body of a king or a queen. Pull your shoulders back until your chest opens up. Lift your chin so it is parallel to the floor. Look people in the eye, not aggressively, but steadily. When you do this, two things happen. First, your own brain floods with testosterone and lowers cortisol. You trick yourself into feeling confident. But secondly, and more importantly, you change the way the world reads you. You project what I call main character energy. You signal that you are not a victim in waiting. You are the author of this story. I remember walking into a high-pressure negotiation once, feeling absolutely sick to my stomach. But I forced myself to walk slowly. I forced myself to take up space at the table. I forced my head to stay high. And I watched the energy in the room shift. The people who were ready to tear me apart hesitated. They sensed a firmness, a self-assuredness that wasn't actually there yet, but they didn't know that. They backed down because I looked like someone who would not be moved. Your body is your first line of defense. Before you even open your mouth, your posture is telling people how to treat you. Make sure it is telling them the right story. Make sure it says, I am here, I am worthy, and I am not afraid. Now that you have learned to command your space physically, we arrive at the final, most unshakable truth of this entire journey. Respect is not something you extract from others. It is something you cultivate within yourself. We have spent this time together sharpening our weapons, the silence, the stare, the posture. But all of these tools rely on one fundamental philosophy. The Stoics understood this thousands of years ago, and it saved my life when I was drowning in the opinions of others. It is the realization that you have zero control over other people. You cannot stop them from being rude. You cannot force them to see your worth. You cannot control their trauma, their bad days, or their lack of upbringing. That is their baggage, and for too long, you have been offering to carry it for them. The old me would have seen disrespect as a personal failure. I would have thought, if they are treating me this way, I must have done something to deserve it, or I must not be good enough. That mindset is a prison. The new me understands that their behavior is a reflection of their internal state, not my value. My power does not lie in changing them. It lies in mastering myself. When you finally get this, I mean really get it deep in your bones, the game changes. You stop reacting to every little slight because you realize that your peace is too expensive to be traded for their drama. You become the mountain, and they become the wind. Let them blow. Let them howl. You do not move. So, here is my challenge to you. Do not try to become a different person overnight. That is a recipe for failure. Just pick one thing we talked about today. Just one. Maybe tomorrow, when someone interrupts you, you don't smile. You just give them the stare. Or maybe the next time someone demands an explanation, you just say, "Because I said so," and feel the terrifying thrill of that period at the end of the sentence. Try it once. See how it feels to wear your own authority. It will feel strange at first, like wearing a suit of armor that is slightly too heavy. But soon, it will fit like a second skin. You are teaching the world how to treat you with every single interaction. Stop teaching them that you are small. Stop teaching them that you are available for abuse. Stand tall. Own your silence. And remember, the only validation that matters is the one you give yourself when you look in the mirror. You are ready. Now go walk like it. We have walked a long road together in this video, peeling back the layers of social conditioning that have kept us small for far too long. We started by looking at the trap of niceness, realizing that our compliance was never buying us respect. It was only buying us a ticket to become someone else's doormat. We learned to weaponize the void with the silent stare, turning the awkwardness back onto the aggressor. We learned to stop jading, to stop justifying, arguing, defending, and explaining our existence to people who are committed to misunderstanding us. We discussed the vital importance of curating our VIP list by keeping our distance from emotional vampires. And finally, we talked about hacking our own biology by holding our heads high, signaling to the world and to ourselves that we are not to be trifled with. But if you take nothing else from this, remember this single, profound lesson. The world is a mirror. It reflects back to you exactly what you believe you deserve. If you believe you must explain yourself to be valid, the world will constantly demand explanations. If you believe you must fight to be heard, the world will constantly scream at you. But if you believe, deeply and quietly, that you are worthy of respect simply because you exist, the world will eventually fall in line. Applying this to your daily life is not about becoming a cold, unfeeling robot. It is about becoming selective. Tomorrow, or the next day, you will face a moment of disrespect. It is inevitable. In that split second, you will feel the familiar heat of anger or the cold shiver of shame. You will want to revert to your old script. You will want to apologize or over-explain or snap back. Don't. In that micro moment, I want you to choose the new path. Choose the pause. Choose the silence. Choose the posture of a king or a queen. It will feel uncomfortable, but growth always does. You are breaking a habit of a lifetime, and that takes immense courage. But every time you choose your own peace over their drama, you are laying a brick in the fortress of your new character. Now, I want to hear from you. We are building a community here of people who are ready to take back their power, and your voice matters. I have a simple question for you. Of the 5 techniques we discussed today, the silent stare, silence as an answer, not explaining, keeping distance, or body language, which one do you find the most difficult to do, and why? Drop your answer in the comments below. Let's be honest with each other, because admitting the struggle is the first step to mastering it. I'll be reading your stories. And finally, if this video sparked something in you, If it gave you even one tool to protect your energy, please consider subscribing to Glaze English. It helps us keep creating content that goes beyond just language and dives deep into the mindset you need to thrive. Join us, and let's get stronger together. Thank you for watching, and remember, respect starts with you.